Hello, everyone. This is JPL, and today I am joined with,
Jay.
And Christopher.
and we are podcast name in brackets. Back once again for the monthly edition of the top five, and this month we are doing the top five films of 1996. All right, Jay,
Yeah.
tell us about this year.
Yeah, this top 10 is very interesting. This is a very star-driven top 10. We have Tom Cruise movies here, Sean Connery and Nick Cage in The Rock, Mel Gibson, Eddie Murphy, Michael Jordan even. He's not obviously a film star, but a sports star. And then yeah, the other interesting thing to point out here, besides the 101 Dalmatians, sort of a precursor to the current age of Disney live action remakes, is that we have the number one and number two spots are disaster movies with Independence Day and Twister.
Oh
This is
boy.
sort of a start of a trend that would, especially in the 2000s, late 90s and into the 2000s, would be big. And still is. Like, there's still Greenland 2 came out recently, so has stuck around as a genre in a way that it for a little bit had dipped between like the, I don't know,
I mean,
70s and 90s.
Twisters was pretty big a couple years ago.
Yeah, has kind of stuck around a little bit more than it had in the past. And yeah, in terms of awards, this is um Best Picture goes to The English Patient, which is notable for being the first Miramax film to win Best Picture, obviously precursor to a lot of other Miramax films that would go on to win. I don't think Harvey Weinstein had a hands-on role as a producer the way that he did with other future Miramax films. Sort of
Good,
the
good usage of words. He said hands on.
yes. Yep.
Mm-hmm,
I mean, yeah, unfortunately. The Palme d'Or goes to Mike Lee's Secrets and Lies, which also got a Best Picture nomination. And then the Razzie goes to Striptease. This was a film that was not like the fact that this and Showgirls came out a year apart was complete coincidence, but that they both ended up winning the Worst Picture Razzie. I have not seen Striptease, so I can't say if that is a deserving winner. Yeah, my number five is The Cable Guy. This is written and directed by Ben Stiller. Ever heard of him? And it follows
no.
a man who moves into a new apartment, a man named Steven. He meets Chip, a friendly cable guy. And I mean, way too friendly because Chip goes to increasing lengths to insert himself into Steven's life in as a friend, sort of trying to become increasingly more friendly, and things go south. I won't spoil. I mean, you can kind of guess based on the premise. Yeah, I've talked about this before when we talked about Ace Ventura and previous Jim Carrey films, that there's something that I just find kind of off-putting about Jim Carrey's comedic persona. Something to his like manic energy that almost seems, his persona, not the actor himself, almost seems like sociopathic. And so this film is on that exact wavelength. This is deploying Jim Carrey's comedic persona and being like, is this something sinister? Um, so I was perfectly like on board with this. I think it is one of the best deployments of his comedic persona of like, be like, hey, this guy is like, he doesn't seem completely all right. He seems a little bit out of touch with reality. And that was actually when this came out. This was a pretty contentious film because of the way that it frames Jim Carrey's like this was, people weren't used to seeing him in a like sinister role. And it ended up being pretty controversial for that. A lot of people didn't like that, Jim Carrey, this big star, and now he's being the villain. And yeah, people weren't fully on board with it. For me, that is why this film works. It is a really, really good use of Jim Carrey's energy in a way that I just found very interesting and engaging to watch. It's also sort of this rumination on the first generation of kids raised by TV who are finally reaching adulthood and how that has colored their worldview. It's not a perfect film. It's a little bit messier than I would have preferred, but as just like this dark comedy, and again this vehicle for Jim Carrey to go completely wild, and for that to fit a little bit better in with the tone of the movie, for the film to be self-aware about how he is coming off. Like I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I've not seen this one. Um, Talking about actors. in reverse roles. You know, you have Robin Williams in Insomnia. They're using that sweet guy to be this not so sweet guy. And yeah, that's
Yeah,
the only
this one
thought
is,
I
I
have.
would say, even more straightforward than that, because there is just, again, this is Ace Ventura, but what if Ace Ventura, instead of like, there's no, it's the same performance. It's just that the film around him is acknowledging how insane or how like off kilter he is with the rest of everything around. It's just very interesting. Yeah. Because Jim Carrey has also done more dramatic performances, which I would say are a little bit closer to. This is still very much like a Jim Carrey performance. It's just being used in a slightly different way.
My number 5 is Bottle Rocket, Wes Anderson's debut picture, full-length picture, which also introduced the Wilson brothers to the masses as well. I do enjoy some Wes Anderson. I can't say I am always on his wavelength, but I don't necessarily feel like I'm necessarily like fighting against his wavelength. But if there was, I don't know. If there was a movie that I think was maybe the hardest to like get on his wavelength, I would say it'd be Bottle Rocket, because the earliest film I had seen from him before Bottle Rocket is Fantastic Mr. Fox. So I definitely knew or assumed or was kind of aware that there would be a kind of a journey to where he is presently. So it's almost interesting seeing Bottle Rocket kind of being a little more normal to a degree, but also very not normal at the same time. It's I didn't say I didn't enjoy it. I did find it amusing to watch for sure, and there were definitely a few moments I definitely was laughing. Definitely, kind of the last quote action sequence was very very amusing. Definitely got some laughs out of me then. But yeah, I'm not fully on its wavelength. I did buy the Wes Anderson set from Criterion because I had not owned any of his films that are not in that set, and kind of been wanting to just go through his movies because why not? Yeah, I think there are definitely some. Excuse me. I definitely think that there are some people who are more over the moon about Wes Anderson than I am, but I enjoy him, and I've been wanting to like see his movies and try to understand them a little more or something. So, yeah, Bottle Rocket, interesting, fun ride, but it's not going to be for everyone. Not fully for me, but I didn't dislike it.
John, I know you've seen a lot of Wes Anderson's. Have you seen this one?
No, this is one that I haven't seen. I did not know it was a Wes Anderson. I just see this one as a Wilson's thing, so I didn't put it in the top of my mind to see it. But now that I know, I'll probably put more emphasis on it one day.
Okay.
I've heard of it, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, interesting to note that Owen Wilson is in The Cable Guy as well this year.
Oh,
So
interesting.
yeah, I was surprised to see him pop up because I had assumed that Bottle Rocket was like his breakout in a way that then he would go on to be in other stuff. But the fact that he was also in Cable Guy the same year, I don't know which one came out first. But yeah, this is definitely more, he's a minor character in that, whereas here he's one of the protagonists. This is one I
Yeah,
have
I
not
was
seen. Oh, go
watching.
ahead.
Yeah, I was watching a little bit like behind the scenes with Bottle Rocket, and I guess it kind of been maybe in development long enough for Owen Wilson possibly to be referred to get a role in The Cable Guy. I guess.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember all the timelines, but I could see the world of like, oh, because of the process of Bottle Rocket, someone's like, oh yeah, let's put him in that movie too, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I mean there was the short that had come out beforehand,
Yeah.
so that was also starring the Wilson brothers. But yeah, no, this is I have not seen this in many years. I actually must have watched it first in like 2016 or something because I don't think I have a review for this on Letterboxd. So it was before I had a
You
Letterboxd that I
actually
saw this.
do.
Oh, I do have a review. Okay.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
oh, so then I saw it in college. Yeah, I'm a big Wes Anderson fan, but it really depends for me on which mode he's in. Because I love the stylization of his films, and this is by far the least stylized. This is sort of proto Wes Anderson. We're seeing the beginnings of that. We're seeing the starts of his stylization, but he hasn't reached, Grand Budapest Hotel or even like Darjeeling Limited or whatever. Um, so yeah, that in that sense, I think when I watched it, maybe I was kind of expecting more of a Wes Anderson thing, and
Mhm.
so since this wasn't giving me quite that feel, it is one that I intend to revisit at some point just to give it another chance. See if maybe I connect with it more. I think it's also just interesting in going through the 90s movies, and maybe I should have rewatched it for this because this is part of a wave of a lot of other indie films that are coming out at this time that I don't usually associate Wes Anderson with, people like Ben Stiller or Noah Baumbach who have their own sort of style in their films, and yet their first features were in this same general time period, um, and have a very similar feel to Bottle Rocket. So yeah, I hadn't ever really considered that, but there is sort of an alternate universe Wes Anderson where instead of following the going more stylized, what if he had gone more towards the sort of indie dramedy side of things, the way that like Noah Baumbach did, would have been a very different career for him.
Mhm. Yeah, and I definitely think that they're not necessarily so much in visual style, but they're definitely. I feel like the word quirky is a little overused, and I've kind of started to not like the word quirky. But there are definitely some quirks in the film
Yes.
that are definitely Anderson-esque.
Yeah.
Like there's a moment early on the film when um, the two rob a store and one of them puts tape over their nose and one of them asks why, and the other's like exactly. And I think that kind of sums up a lot of like why did Anderson exactly, that's all it is.
Yeah.
So that one is very on the nose, pun not
Uh,
intended,
uh-huh.
um in terms of like when the Anderson quirks, but I bet fanatics could definitely do digging and be like, this is so Anderson like that that I don't fully see on the surface.
Yeah, I mean, tone wise and the type of comedy, it is very much in line with the rest of his filmography. It's just since Wes Anderson is like one of those directors who you say his name and everyone imagines the same sort of visual style, that this one
Yeah.
doesn't have that is a little bit like, yeah, this is, it's different. It's, yeah, probably
Yeah.
worth watching. I don't know. Again, I owe it a rewatch.
Yeah. I'd be curious because since I have the set, I want to go through them all.
Yeah.
So I am very curious to see how the style develops.
Yeah. It's once you hit um Royal Tenenbaums, that's where it really starts to take center stage. I think Rushmore
Interesting.
is still a little bit more, that's sort of the halfway point.
Okay. I guess we'll talk about Rushmore in a few
Yeah,
few
if it makes
episodes.
it onto someone's list, we'll
I
see.
mean, I it'd probably at least be an honorable mention on my end. I would
That's true.
imagine.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Have yet to watch it, but I own it. So, all right, John.
Yeah. Moving on to my number 5, I have Jingle All the Way, the Christmas comedy starring Arnold
Artzel.
Schwarzenegger. Yes,
Or
Arnold
Artzel,
Schwarzenegger.
as he is famously called.
Yes, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I think someone else. I yeah. Uh, whoever. Yeah, so he's a father. It's Christmas. He forgets to buy the popular toy, and so this whole film is him going around town trying to get this toy. Um, and this is the 90s, remember? So shopping for Christmas is the worst thing ever. It's being a parody of like the shopping craze of like the toy craze of like the Power Rangers, Pokemon later, any of those crazy phases that we went through. But yeah, it's a totally ridiculous comedy, critically panned, but I think it's got a little cult following in recent
Oh
years.
yeah, yeah.
It's silly. It's just fun to see our big man Arnold in a comedy being absolutely goofy with quotable lines. This is the one that has put that cookie down, and other stuff. Like there's a lot of weird shenanigans in this one. There's Santas, like a underground crime spring of Santas selling cheap toys, uh, and other like crazy wacky shenanigans. But it's silly. It's fun. Jake Lloyd is here
Oh,
before he
wow.
got you know
Yeah,
cursed. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I enjoy this one. I don't think it's a 10 out of 10 film, but it's fun to watch. So yeah.
yeah. I've never seen this one, but obviously I have heard of it, and I enjoy Christmas movies enough that I may seek this one out eventually.
Hmm.
Well, yeah, on to number four then. My number four is Hustler White. This is written and directed by Rick Castro and Bruce LaBruce, and it follows the day to day life of a Los Angeles hustler and a writer who falls for him, with also documentary elements exploring the real experiences of hustlers on Santa Monica Boulevard. And yeah, this is the third Bruce LaBruce film that I've seen, and like with his other films, this has sort of a John Waters esque off kilter comedic sensibility. However, we do also in this one have Rick Castro, who's more of a documentarian, bringing in this more authentic approach. And yeah, it makes for this really unique experience. It is both satirical and sincere, this exploration of a subculture and the acknowledgement of its strangeness. And then it even touches on some of the darker stuff hidden just below the sequence. There's a pair of sequences that build tension towards something and subvert tension in a very interesting and actually I found it kind of affecting way. Um, yeah, this is just a very fascinating film. It's not one that I can recommend to just anyone. This is very like yeah, you need to know what you're going into. Bruce LaBruce is a very explicit filmmaker, and this is no exception to that. And this one even has stuff that's a little bit more extreme than even I was expecting going in. But I did overall appreciate the experience, and this is a very interesting film and also a very fascinating cultural artifact for this time and this place and this subculture. Um, so yeah, I can't really recommend it to just anyone, but I feel like it is worthy of a spot on my list.
As usual, I don't know anything about this.
This is one of the more obscure things that I have ever put on a top five list.
I guess I threw at number 4 Black Sheep, which released after Tommy Boy. It stars both Chris Farley and David Spade. It's not as good as Tommy Boy. No, I definitely do remember one sequence that Chris Farley's on a stage and absolutely like going absolutely nuts. That one was very amusing. Yeah, not as great, but hey, I guess I was like going back and forth between Bottle Rocket and Black Sheep, and I said I might be more amused by Black Sheep, but probably ultimately maybe Bottle Rocket could be more rewarding in the future. I don't know. Right now, I'm just like Black Sheep. It is.
Yeah, this is one I'm not familiar with. John, have you heard of this one?
No, I have not.
If you guys have not seen Chris Farley and David Spade film, and you guys are like, I'm only gonna watch one Chris Farley and David Spade movie, go watch Tommy Boy.
Yeah,
Okay.
I might eventually get around to this one. I'm curious about, but when I was even just looking for images for the slide, I was like seeing stuff of, oh yeah, even the cast and crew are a little bit iffy on this one. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Moving on to my number 4, I have Star Trek First Contract. Sorry, First Contact.
Sorry.
I don't know. My brain's not wanting to do things properly today. Yes.
Oh, man.
Oh man. Yeah, this is the 8th Star Trek film. It is the second one with this generation's crew, this next generation crew. It's my favorite of the next gen crew. But yeah, what I like about this one is it brings the Borg into a movie budget. The Borg are like the best antagonists from the Next Generation TV show. They're this very great sci-fi horror of like assimilation and hive mind things, and they do it with like this spooky like techno body morph cyborg thing, and they go to the extreme with the movie budget by making it look like even grosser, even scarier. um but and that's great. So seeing the Borg do action stuff, that's great. Like there's like the whole space action sequence that's like high budget and like, oh, that's really cool. um but then maybe the writing and the story is a bit rough, where it feels more like the TV show episode instead of like a proper film. It feels like two completely different films. There's a time travel thing where like we're doing something with First Contact and warp drives, and then you have the Borg thing, and neither of the two things have any idea what the other is doing. So we go back and forth. You got the like space horror thing with the Borg, and then you got whatever like lighthearted comedy with the other. So it's a tonal whiplash whenever we go, and it's also a pacing whiplash. But besides that, I enjoy this. This is my favorite Star Trek crew and cast of characters. So it's fun seeing them do stuff. It's not perfect, but it's one of the better of the next gen films. So yeah.
yeah, I will probably at some point watch the Star Trek movies. My sister's a big Star Trek fan, so I am familiar with a lot of stuff from Star Trek, even if I haven't seen any of the films or the show. I've seen episodes of the show, obviously, but
I've not seen any Star Trek. I don't know. It just like I remember looking at like Marvel and Star Wars back in the day, looking at those with fear. Like, oh, there's so much, and how much more confounded I feel looking at Star Trek.
Yeah,
that's fair. That's fair.
that's fair. Star Trek is more of a TV property than a film property,
And
so
then that's another thing, the TV side of things.
yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
of Star Trek and Star Wars, Star Trek is definitely more the vibe that you would enjoy.
I could believe that. I just
But
need
yeah,
a
the
TV
TV
watching
thing,
partner.
Yeah.
Once I have a TV watching partner, then maybe, but I'm not there yet.
Yep.
Especially the next gen films, you kind of need to watch the TV show to get the better experience, because yeah, there's plot threads and all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Let's stick with one-off movies for now. But I'm not saying never. I don't like to say never.
Just
Well,
not right
speaking
now.
Not
Speaking
right
of
now.
one-off movies that maybe you do need to have knowledge of previous movies to completely, I don't know. We'll talk about that. Michael Bay's The Rock. This is a group of Marines goes rogue and steals a bunch of biological weapons, taking over Alcatraz Island. So a chemical weapons expert teams up with an imprisoned former MI6 agent, the only person to have escaped Alcatraz when it was still running as a prison, and they sneak onto the island to disarm the weapons. And yeah, this is full of the kind of stuff that you expect from a Michael Bay movie. There's action, explosions, car chases, government secrets, love for the military, characters who are constantly angry and bickering, a really bloated runtime. This does not need to be 2.5 hours long. But this is, for me, one of the best matches between Bay and his material. I've seen all of the Transformers and then a handful of other Bay movies, and I think this is the one that works best for his style. His fixations add actual depth to the heroes and the villains here, rather than just being like they don't stand out as much. They're actually woven in a little bit better here. And the action is both legible and exciting, something that I haven't found to be true once he started making movies with lots of CG. This is very impressive in part because it is done mostly practically. Um, and then, yeah, we have a trio of central performances that are really interesting. Nicolas Cage has that perfect manic energy that is like, this is a Michael Bay movie. He is perfect for a Michael Bay protagonist. He just has that vibe. Um, Ed Harris is, on the other hand, just like very restrained, and it makes a very interesting foil to what's going on with Nick Cage. The contrast between their energies. And then, yeah, Sean Connery is here. He's along for the ride. He is kind of collecting a paycheck with this one, but it is, he brings a gravitas just being here. And I definitely like the theory that this is a sort of sequel to his James Bond run. I think that adds a lot of depth to his character, and he's playing a former MI6 agent, so that's the theory is coming from somewhere. Yeah, this isn't the best movie ever made, and it's probably not even the best action movie of 1996. We'll get more to that later, but I had a fun time with this one.
Yeah, the only thing I really know about this one is the James Bond potential connections. It's one that I've always been meaning to watch, but it's never around when I feel like it or when I want to.
Yeah, I ended up
Yeah.
borrowing it from the library. Yeah, I don't know what its status on streaming services is, but you should definitely see this one, John, as a James Bond person and also an appreciator of some Michael Bay movies.
Why are you giving me those tags, Jay? Why am I a James Bond person? I know I've watched all the films, but does that make me a person?
I think
Wait,
out of the three of us, probably.
I mean, I didn't
suppose.
say James Bond fan because I don't know how you feel in general.
You're a
Just
James
more
Bond person.
someone who is familiar with James Bond.
There you go.
More than I. James Bond person.
I'm more offended by the Michael Bay one, but
Am I-
anyway.
I didn't
You
say
know-
you were a Michael Bay fan. I said you have enjoyed some
occasional-
Michael Bay movies.
An
Sure.
occasional Bay connoisseur.
I hope I have not slandered your character, John. I said James Bond person, which means you have seen the James Bond movies, and someone who has occasionally enjoyed a Michael Bay movie. Those are two
Yeah.
very, very different than calling you a James Bond fan and a Michael Bay fan.
Yeah, it's hard to slander my characters. There's not much of a character left to scandal. Slander. Anyway.
3, Crocodile by Gimki Duck. This is his debut film. Kind of amazing. So like I got the Wes Anderson set with the previous Criterion sale, and then I think early this year, I went in a frenzy mode. I was like, oh my goodness, I just want to watch Gimki Duck's films. So I went on a frenzy of trying to find I think it was top this year. Anyways, so yeah, when frenzy trying to find as many of his films as I could, I have purchased quite a handful of them. Definitely at least the first 10 I do believe I own in some various format. From DVD to Blu-ray. I have one VCD, in fact. But yeah, I love it because like I tend to just buy Blu-rays, but then I have the stack of Gimki Duck films, and it's the most like jagged stack ever. Anyways, I've brought up Gimki Duck before, controversial director, and I definitely have my questions about him for sure, but I also cannot deny how I feel when I think about his films or when I watch his films. So it's almost to a degree like he's not done a horror movie, but almost like I've mentioned Darren Aronofsky. Like I don't think I've seen him do a straight horror film, but they're just things in his films that are kind of just like horrific, and I'm kind of fascinated by it because usually horror films, they just don't really do anything for me. I think I'm just a little too jaded by the general template for them to have any effect on me. So then, kind of when I see a bit of horror set in realism to a degree, even though like I think about like Requiem for a Dream, there's definitely some absurdism in its approaches to horror, but it's still set in a very like believable world, I guess, compared to some horror films. um, so yeah, so Gimki Duck kind of scratches that itch for me, I guess. So definitely Crocodile. In watching it, there are definitely moments that was kind of just making me like want to jump out of my skin, because I'm just like ah, yeah. Uh, so yeah, I don't know. Interesting, very interesting director, and I kind of am just a little mesmerized by. It is, as a poster here says, twisted. It is twisted. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's hard to know what to say. I think there's some of his films I can talk a little more concretely about. In Crocodile, I kind of feel more. It's like I am fascinated by it because it's Kimki Duck. You know, I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
necessarily how much I'd be like, go watch this film. I'd say like spring, summer, fall, winter, and spring is I think is kind of like the most like approachable Kimki Duck film to be like. There are definitely some hard moments in that film, but it's the most approachable. Crocodile, I think, interests me more as someone who's interested in Kimki Duck. Um, but if the things I'm saying is interesting, maybe it'd be interesting if Kimki Duck as a person does not work for you, then I wouldn't try to convince you otherwise because I definitely have my questions. But yeah, there's. I think he said, and I've definitely done some reading, that Kim Ki-duk kind of is one who kind of makes films about marginalized people, and kind of like trying to encourage like sympathy for, which actually that's interesting. I guess two of my films in my list kind of are of this sort. Um, so yeah, because ultimately, as terrible as some of these people are, they're ultimately people, and that definitely does not excuse any wrong that they do, but also, you know, they're still people. So I don't necessarily know if Crocodile is necessarily the best exercise in that of the films I've seen from him. But it definitely is very much laying a foundation of what I am aware of his films and what I have seen and what I've read. So yeah, so I guess this would I, I would assume I forget. Yeah, that's my number one. All right, so yeah, out of my five films, if I'm the most hesitant in recommending a film, it would be Crocodile.
Okay.
But uh, out of like the five, I'd be like, oh, if you want a dumb comedy, go watch Black Sheep. I don't think it's that good. Oh, you like Wes Anderson? Well, you gotta watch that one, right? The pool of people who'd appreciate Kim Ki Duck film, not to mention his first film, is way smaller. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm fascinated. I'd say.
yeah,
I think that's what I would say about this film. I'm fascinated by him. I'm fascinated by the film. Yeah.
yeah. I am curious to see one of his films since you have talked a lot about him. And I in that vein, I was looking up spring, summer, fall, winter, and spring, and the thing that popped up for me is on Netflix telling me that I can watch it, except the teaser thumbnail that they have is John Cena and Eric Andre. So I don't know what's up with that. But
Definitely, some of his films are on Hoopla.
okay,
Yeah,
that yeah, yeah. I'll
yeah,
get around to one of them at some point, probably.
yeah. I would definitely be curious of your thoughts. Not so much like I want to make you watch all of
Yeah,
them, but
yeah.
I would definitely be curious of your thoughts of at least one of them. For me, I will say like the first film of his I saw was The Bow. That was Oh my goodness. Like, I think I may have talked about, like, Parasite. I
Yeah.
paused that a lot, like, during the first half because, um and I'm not a fan of pausing movies. That's one of my, like, pretentious things. You probably shouldn't pause a film while watching it, but,
Uh-huh.
um, like, I don't know, for some reason, seeing lying in films does it's hard for me.
Okay.
Uh, Not that there's lying in the bow, but the subject matter in the bow was just so it was getting under my skin so much, I continually had to, like, pause it. So, that was quite a first experience with Kinky Duck for me. So, yeah, I don't know. Pick your
Yeah.
poison.
Yeah.
Well, moving on to my number three, I have Matilda, which Matilda, I can best describe this as like uh part of the children's storybook film genre. So it's films based upon children's books that they make. So think like Paddington within those general warm felt vibes. And with Matilda, I did not grow up with Matilda at all. It's one that I've always seen in like DVD rental stores, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's that. It never interested me, but in the past few years, every time I hear people talk about this film, they talk about it like it's a masterpiece, and I'm like, what? This? What are you talking about? But finally, like the last year or two, I watched it, and man, I really enjoyed it. It made me feel like I was a kid again watching those children's storybook films. It's just really solidly done. It's classic. You know, you got your obvious villain to root against. You got our uh, competent protagonist to root for. You got Danny DeVito. He's here. um, yeah, it was just sweet, fun, and I had a happy little smile at the end of it. So yeah,
John, Danny DeVito directed this film.
I know.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
That is wild. I don't know. I don't know much about the guy, but to think of him as a director is so odd to me. I can't lie.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is one that I have seen, but I saw it in like elementary school at school, like one of those where the teacher rolls in the TV and you watch it on the little TV there. So I don't really have any strong. I just have like a general vibe memory of it, but I don't remember any specifics. I've been meaning to get around to it again, and I probably eventually will.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think the poster is one of those posters that's almost seared into the memory. So I
Yes.
almost feel like I have to like complete the cycle by watching the film one day.
It's giving like a little bit the poster for Amelie.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Except not as I don't know. I don't. The
Yeah, she
Amelie
doesn't have
poster
the
is a little more
same
dark.
kind of smirk.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely that same vibe to a degree, like of how it sticks in the brain. I can't think of any other poster that really. Wow, sorry, I can't think of any other poster that fits that
Yeah, I feel like
feeling.
there's
I
a
guess of
handful, but
memory.
yeah, those are two of the big ones for me, definitely.
Hmm.
Yeah, on now to number two. My number two is Bound, written and directed by the Wachowskis as their feature directing debut. And it follows a woman recently released from jail who takes a job renovating an apartment. And it just so happens that next door live a mid-level mob enforcer and his wife. So the mobster's wife and the woman fall in love, and they come up with a plan to steal money from the mob and frame the mobster. And it's this mix of romance and thriller and heist that never shortchanges any of those elements. It sort of has like a classic noir feel to it, but with a modern sort of lens and a modern style. This is maybe one of the most convincing on-screen romances that I've ever seen. Gina Gershon and Jennifer Tilly just have such a natural chemistry, and the writing gives both of these characters such a great degree of interiority that you really just buy into their relationship. The sort of love at first sight thing that they make it work. That's a trope that often there's a little bit of a struggle with, but no, here it's just you're fully on board with that. And you buy that these two women will go to great lengths for each other. And then sort of the third member of this trio here is Joe Pantoliano as the mobster, and he is just going absolutely insane here. His performance is just so perfectly tuned for this. Yeah, I had a great time with this. I saw this in the theater, and unfortunately, people in the theater seem to be not fully on the right wavelength for this. There was a lot of laughing at stuff that wasn't really intended to be funny, but just sort of, the style of this is a very sincere film. So if you aren't fully engaging with it, then stuff can seem silly. There is also a lot of comedy here as well, so there is like intentional comedy, and there is stuff that if you aren't on the right wavelength will come across as a little bit silly. But if you are on the right wavelength, this is just such a great and sincere and open-hearted film, and it's very different from anything else the Wachowskis have made. Again, this is more noir, this is limited location, there's no sci-fi or fantasy element here, but it's still just so incredibly open-hearted and humanistic in that Wachowski way, while still completely delivering on the thriller element. This is very much sort of a crime thriller, a heist thriller. And yeah, it's a delight to finally get around to seeing this one. It was the only Wachowski film that I hadn't seen before, and so getting to see that in a theater especially was just such a treat.
I've not seen or heard of this one, so I can't say anything.
One
There's
day
a
I
there's
may.
a Criterion of this one.
Ooh.
I have it. I Since I saw this in the theater, I didn't watch the Criterion, but I was watching it in the theater and be like, oh, I'm glad I own this on Criterion, because I'm gonna force my friends to watch this someday.
I put at my number two Train Spotting, which I watched last night, and I think my ultimate takeaway from the movie is I was surprised how much I enjoyed the film. I feel like a film like this, where you're kind of seeing people, chasing drugs a little bit. I don't know. I feel like sometimes, like, I struggle to get on the wavelength of some of those films sometimes. Um, but like, Train Spotting is very enjoyable as a film. I laughed at several moments, which I was kind of surprised by, and also the filmmaking is so interesting. I which I kind of expected, because this is a Danny Boyle film. Kind of knowing, I if I could be wrong, the only films I recall seeing from him are the related to 28 days, weeks, whatever later. I've not seen Weeks. No, yes, I've not seen Weeks. Just want to clarify. Just the
Which
days, just the
he
years.
wasn't
He
involved
wasn't
in that one, I
involved
don't
with
believe.
Weeks. So yeah, just like, not that it's important, but
Yeah,
if I
yeah.
clarify. But after seeing, okay, fine, I'll just say after seeing 28 days, 28 years later, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, he is very interesting in the way he approaches things cinematically. So I was somewhat aware of that going into Train Spotting, and that definitely does come into play for sure. Very interesting. Um, yeah. Um, and as I kind of referenced with the Gimki Duck film, there's definitely trying to play into like having sympathy for characters, which, um, yeah, I think there's definitely a little bit of not fully on its wavelength element again, but also still did enjoy the film, do find it interesting, would be interested in revisiting, would be interested in seeing the sequel. Um, it is indeed a very interesting film.
Yeah, this is one that because this is such a massive film for a lot of people. And for me, I really enjoyed it when I first saw it. I have memories of it. It has stuck in my brain a little bit, but it isn't, this wasn't one of those things that I had on my dorm wall as a poster the way that some people did. So like when thinking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I like it, but it's not like one of my movies. But when I was putting together my list for this year, the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, oh, this, yeah, I think this needs to be on my list. It needs to be high up. And then I saw that you were going to put this on your list, so I was like, okay, I'll
I stole it.
swap that out for other stuff. But yeah, no, this was it started out as like, oh, I'll put it in my honorable mentions, and I thought about it a bit more. Oh, maybe I can put it in my top 5, and then I'm like, you know what? No, this is definitely top 3 material for me. Um, so yeah, I'm happy to see it mentioned. Obviously, um, yeah, it is a very well made film. It is a very well edited film. and the way it incorporates music, that's a thing with a lot of Danny Boyle films. He's really good at the music and finding good and interesting music to include. um yeah, I very much worth checking out. It is a somewhat intense experience. There's a handful of sequences that are um very intense and somewhat difficult, but again, yeah, there is a reason that this is a classic. And even though, again, I don't have the poster of it on my wall, but it is one that I do appreciate.
I can't lie, the most Gimpy Duck-esque reaction to Scott Alamy was at the worst toilet sequence. I can't lie.
Yes, that sequence it is not as upsetting as some of the other stuff on just like a moral level, but
Uh,
on a visceral level, it is not a pleasant sequence.
I think like that. I feel like most things I kind of am like, when it comes to whatever. I guess things happen in movies,
Uh-huh.
but for I guess definitely poop related things. No, maybe
Mhm.
because I work at a theater where animals poop everywhere, and so I just have to deal with that as it is, you know. So I just
Yeah, yeah.
I want to keep work things at work.
Oh boy.
There'll be no poop in my house.
No poop in my house. No poop at someone else's house.
Yeah. Yes. I haven't seen this one, so yeah. Moving on to my number 2, I have Mission Impossible, the first film of the current series of the Tom Cruise films of Mission Impossible. It is the first film reboot of the TV series. This one's first one specifically was that. It's always weird coming back to this one when you just think in comparison to the rest of the Mission Impossible films, because they're their own vibes. Like a lot of them you could mix and match together because they have like a similar aesthetic to it. There's like that one crazy stunt. It's all Ethan doing Ethan being Ethan for the sake of the world. I don't know. And he's got a harem or something. But then then you come to this one where it all began, and it's like, oh yeah, it's very different. We haven't like escalated or um flanderized any of these elements. It's still just they're taking the classic elements of the TV show, giving it the bigger budget of the film, and doing the best they can. It all works really well. There's got like some weird tones and themes in it that um, is like more subtle compared to the on the nose stuff we'll get in later films. But yeah, like you still got the iconic imagery and stunts, specifically one with the wire that stands the test of time. You got the cast of characters that show up, um, but yeah, no, it's fun and it's interesting. It's also still really solid. I think compared to the rest of the series, it's maybe not as strong, but it's still a really solid entry by itself.
Is this the movie that has like the tunnel sequence
With the
like at
helicopter,
the end?
yeah,
Yes. Oh my
Mm.
goodness, that was really cool. I
yeah.
just I was like struggling to remember things from this film, and then I remembered that. That's definitely that might be one of my favorite Mission Impossible moments. I can't lie.
I have not seen this in many years, but this was actually, I mean, the first Mission Impossible movie that I saw, which probably isn't that surprising, but I did see it. I was relatively young, and it was the kind of thing of like my parents are like, "Oh, let's watch this," and I was like, "Are you sure that we can watch that? It's PG-13." I was like, 8 or 9 at the time. They're like, "Oh yeah, it'll be fine." And then this one does have, I think, some of the more upsetting moments of violence in it of the series. But
Yeah.
I mean, it was fine. I didn't bother me that much. But there are moments that have stuck in my head in that way. Um, yeah, no, again, I haven't seen it in a while, but I do remember enjoying it. I think we do also need to mention, obviously goes without saying, but this is the introduction to the most iconic character in the franchise, CIA analyst William Dunlow.
Yeah.
Remember him? so excited when he came back into there. I was like, "Oh, that's Agent Dunlow. Everyone remembers that guy."
Yeah, and the knife, the very
the
important
knife,
knife.
the knife that he kept for some reason.
Man, I
Oh.
really love the fact how the last film was so reliant on flashbacks. Last year was the year of flashbacks with that Mission Impossible movie and Stranger Things season 5. It was like,
Oh,
we know you don't remember, so we'll give you a bunch of flashbacks.
Oh boy, Mission. What a weird franchise.
yeah, ups and downs. But yeah, before we move on to our number ones, why don't we talk about our honorable mentions?
Yeah. So my first honorable mention, I've done these in alphabetical order, but first up is Beautiful Thing. This is a British film. I owe this one a rewatch. I want to give it. I don't think I gave it a fair shake when I first watched it many years ago. I was going to for this episode, but then ran out of time and was more focused on things that I hadn't seen before. But yeah, I'm putting it on my honorable mentions just as like an acknowledgement of I think this is better than I initially gave it credit for, but I don't know for sure. Then I have The Birdcage. This is obviously this classic Robin Williams, Nathan Lane comedy. I didn't find it as funny as I was hoping. I saw it in a theater with a pretty decent audience, and I just wasn't feeling the humor, but it is still a lot of fun. I did enjoy it overall. Then I have The Craft. This is classic teen witches doing teen witch stuff movie, fun Halloween times, a little bit campy. Um, then speaking of camp, I have From Dusk Till Dawn. I love this when I saw it when I was 16 years old. I'm a little scared to see it again because I don't know if it'll hold up to an adult watch through. But I mean, yeah, just such an insane movie. Then I have The Frighteners. Speaking of kind of insane movies, this is Peter Jackson's first Hollywood studio movie. He's going wild with a slightly bigger budget. It is unfortunately a little bit more on rails than Brain Dead was, and I was a little bit disappointed by that. But compared to other horror comedies, this is still very, very insane. Um, then The Mirror Has Two Faces. This is the third feature directed by Barbara Streisand, and like her previous films, I it takes something that shouldn't work, that should be too saccharine, but it finds just the right balance of elements to give it this degree of sincerity that just really worked for me in a way that this type of movie usually doesn't. Um, then I have Secrets and Lies, the Mike Lee film. I wasn't really feeling the first hour and change of this, but I really, really like the last 40 minutes. And I think the real strength here is the performances. There are some really, really phenomenal performances here. And then last up, I have X. This is a weird anime movie that is essentially just a series of clunky exposition dumps punctuated by action set pieces, but just incredible animation. Really fascinating concept. Could have used a little bit more time to maybe flesh things out. I know that there's an anime series. I don't know if I'll ever watch it, but yeah, the animation is just so gorgeous here.
I haven't seen any of these.
Honestly, same.
I'm a little surprised that you haven't gotten around to From Dusk Till Dawn, since that's a Tarantino written film.
I've seen it around. I looked at the
around,
poster.
okay.
Just haven't got stuck in my mind to be like, that's the one. I have to see it.
That's fair. That's fair.
I think out of the films on your list, I'm kind of most intrigued by, honestly, would be The Craft. I think especially after seeing Forbidden Fruits earlier this year.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
My honorable mentions in alphabetical order is Muppet Treasure Island. I am not honestly the biggest Muppet guy. I think it kind of is because I didn't really grow up with the Muppets. I don't necessarily think I'm fully on the Muppet wavelength, but like they're charming, you know. They're amusing. And I bet when I saw this, I found in some enjoyment from it. I didn't dislike it. I'm just not like, oh my gosh, the Muppets, oh my gosh. Yeah. That's my honorable mentions in alphabetical order.
Yeah, I watched this one.
Oh, also, let's
yes.
forget. Like this movie isn't as good as people think it is because the director went on to direct Happy Time Murders. Like his track record, I don't know. Like, come on, you can't completely gas this up. He directed Happy Time Murders.
Yeah, I think it's interesting of having seen his three big features, which are Muppet Christmas Carol, Muppet Treasure Island, and Happy Time Murders. I think the first two are a little bit closer to the third one than people would like to think, just in terms of quality, not style, obviously. But yeah, I'll just read out my Letterbox review because that kind of summarizes my performance, which is: what do you get when you add up a classic adventure story plus a fun Tim Curry performance plus some solid jokes and musical numbers plus cool sets plus great puppetry and effects? Unfortunately, less than the sum of its parts. Yeah, it didn't really work for me, even though so many of the elements here are really, really well done. Um, yeah, as an experience, I found it to be a little bit too long. I found it was kind of a weird match of Muppets with the story. Um, Tim Curry is great. He's a little bit underserved by the movie around him. Um, but again, I think there is just like a base level of enjoyment to you get Tim Curry on set as a pirate and you get a bunch of Muppets in pirate costumes and you're going to have fun, even if it isn't
you
as good as it could be.
you evil man! I didn't realize Tim Curry was in this. That actually means I have to rewatch this at some point. I don't know, just his performance in I forgot the name. What's the movie? You
He's in
know
a
the
lot
one.
of Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yes, Rocky Horror Picture. Like his performance that is just so incredible that now like whenever like I'd seen him in other movies like Clue, but I didn't know it was Tim Curry. So now
Yeah,
after seeing like Rocky Horror Picture Show, I'm like, what a guy.
yeah.
So I
It's
can't lie.
it's a
Whenever
very
I
different
rewatch
performance
this,
as well.
yeah, but still
His
Tim Curry.
voice is
You know what
like,
I mean?
oh no, yeah, no, he is great. And like he is doing the accent he is doing, I was not expecting, since I've seen a lot of Tim Curry villain performances. He is playing it in a very specific way. And yeah, again, it's Tim Curry plus Muppets. Like there is a lot of fun to be had there.
I didn't really grow up with this one. I grew up more with Christmas Carol. And so I watched this for the first time a few years ago. I don't remember what I thought of it. I think I was like, okay, there are other Treasure Island adaptations that I prefer,
Yeah.
like Treasure Planet. But
Yeah, Treasure Planet is really good.
yeah, I wasn't really feeling the Muppets in this one. I could kind of, while watching this one, being like, okay, I can feel the lack of Jim Henson in this one
Yeah.
more than I did with Christmas Carol, and that's kind of how it felt through most of the film. I liked Tim Curry, but yeah, this film was just okay. I don't know why it gets so gassed up with people. It's
Just
like, oh
Tim
yeah,
Curry. It is
Treasure
Tim
Island is the
Curry,
best.
and it's very memeable in that way of like, yeah, you have Tim Curry plus some Muppets. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
you can pull clips from this and be like, this is the best film ever made. And you watch the clip and you're like, oh, maybe this is. Then you watch the movie, it's like, oh, yeah, it isn't. It
it's all
isn't. But
right.
I can see those scenes why people pull those.
Mm-hmm. Moving on to my honorable mentions. First up, we have Doctor Who, the movie. This very not well received TV movie that um, was an Americanized Doctor Who that just wasn't great, didn't hit the mark, was kind of shunned and forgotten. There's a little bit of a cult following in recent years, but it's not the best. It's a very 90s TV movie. Um, Not an amazing Doctor Who, but like you got good actors in it. The Doctor himself, like he's well performed by Paul McGann. I want more of that character, but I don't know. The movie just isn't it for me. Uh, then we have 101 Dalmatians, the live action remake. This is one that I rewatched a lot as a kid. I preferred the second one because that was more of an original story. This one was just literally like redoing the film, but like I guess in a modern time, but like with
Yeah.
weird aesthetics. It's been a while. It's got Hugh Laurie in it. But yeah, this one you got Cruella, a great Cruella. It's fun,
Yeah. Glenn
but
Close is good.
yeah. Then we got Space Jam, the the one with Michael Jordan and the Looney Tunes. I like it. It's not an amazing 10 out of 10 story. Um, I don't think it's as terrible as people say it is, but it's not. I wouldn't go out of my way to be like Space Jam. Let's watch it. It's fun. Like it's got incredible animation. It's a great mixture of the live action and cartoon stuff. There's also the one that introduces us to Lola Bunny, and that does some weird stuff to people. But let's not get into that. Uh, then we got Independence Day, a Roland Emmerich disaster film about aliens blowing up the White House and all the different monuments. It's got Will Smith in it. Um, I, yeah, the action's pretty cool. I've seen it only once a long time ago. I enjoyed it, but there's a part of me that doesn't, and I'll talk about that part of me much later on. Uh, then we got the Hunchback of Notre Dame, the Disney animated film. This is like the most PG-13 G-rated film. Like they're pushing the G rating on this one. It should not be G rating. It's so wild that's G rated. Yeah, it's got some of the best epic music out there, and it's kind of brought down by some of the annoying aspects of the Disney film cartoons with the sidekicks and whatnot.
I'm losing to a bird.
Yes. Then we got Gamera 2, Attack of the Legion. The other going to the continuing our Heisei era with our kaiju films. So Gamera fights a bunch of like smaller bug-like monsters. That's pretty cool. They continue doing the great practical effects for that. Um, then we got Rebirth of Mothra, the first of the trilogy, the 90s Heisei trilogy for Mothra. This one I had a lot of fun because like the action was just like it was straight out of the Showa era, but like with the 90s Heisei era production value was like pretty cool. The story is garbage. There was some ambitious idea with some of the effects that look so goofy. um and not great, but hey, it's still a fun time. And lastly, we have a Fly Away Home, which is a film about teaching ducks to fly or something. I don't know. I watched this
Oh, the wild
once.
robot.
Yeah, I watched this once when I was very little. I remembered the imagery of the ducks flying, and that's it. I think it's a solid movie, but I don't know. I want to go back and watch it.
Yeah, of these, I've seen 101 Dalmatians, Glenn Close good, everything else not so much. Space Jam, which animation good, everything else wasn't really on board for. Independence Day is or Hunchback of Notre Dame. I don't have much to say about except that Hellfire is a great song. And then Independence Day, I am kicking myself because for some reason I thought I couldn't include it in my top 5 because it was already on your list, but it was in your honorable mentions. I'm like, oh, I could have put that in my top 5. That would have been because I saw that for the first time, and it has that Roland Emmerich thing of it's a half hour too long. Like they spend so much time in Area 51 looking at aliens. It's like, no, get back to the action stuff. But the action stuff is so good, and it's big and spectacle and airplanes and alien ships and explosions. I had a great time watching those parts of the movie. Yeah, that would have been in my top 5 if I had remembered that since it was in your honorable mentions, I could put it in my top 5 and get away with that. Um, so yeah.
Well, let's talk about our number ones then.
Yeah, my number 1 is Fargo, of course, written and directed by the Coen brothers, and it follows a wide-ranging cast of characters, but mainly Jerry, who is a car salesman from Minnesota, who hires 2 criminals to kidnap his wife and hold her for ransom from her wealthy father. Things start to go wrong, and Jerry finds himself in an increasingly precarious situation, especially once Marge, a policewoman from a nearby town, starts poking around. And yeah, this is for me a top 10 favorite film of all time. Um, it's easily my favorite of the Coens. I don't always love their films, but this one I love just so much. I saw this as a teenager and have seen it many times since. Yeah, it's a very dark, very nihilistic comedy, and it works on that level. But what takes it to the next level for me are the moments of warmth, especially scenes involving Marge. The way that she sees and approaches the world is just so different from the bleak and coldness of everything else, that it adds a level of humanity here that I really appreciated, that I think is often missing from dark comedies. Um, and yeah, we just have some really incredible performances, especially Frances McDormand and William H Macy. The accents are just so perfect, and the way that they use the accents for comedy, I know some people take issue with that, and I understand it. But yeah, the contrast between these accents and the darkness of the story, um yeah, this is just a fantastic film. Again, one of my all-time favorites. I went back and forth about which movie I wanted my number one spot, because I love Bound so much, but I'm giving this one a little bit of priority because I've seen it many more times and it has held up for rewatch. And I'm guessing that will be true of Bound as well, but I haven't had the time to try that. So yeah, the Fargo is getting the precedent here, but I love both of these films, and Fargo is just, if you haven't seen it, it's worth checking out.
Yeah, it's the one where everything goes wrong and people keep making the most avoidable mistakes. It's
Yeah,
super
and
funny. It's a dark comedy as well.
yeah, and yeah, that is kind of the point of the film, is, people making these mistakes, and sort of there's like the sense of dramatic irony is just, it's one of the things that I appreciate about the Coens work.
Yeah, I think I didn't really know what I was getting myself into when I was watching Fargo. So I think the comedy didn't come alive till maybe somewhere during the second half. But even so, I was still a little befuddled at what I was watching. So, but it is amusing, and I'm definitely sure that when I get around to a rewatch, I'll enjoy it way more because I understand what it's trying to be
Yeah,
better. Yeah.
and it's also 98 minutes, so it's not like a tall order to rewatch. It is very like, it is approachable in a way that I think a lot of dark comedies sometimes aren't. It is still very
Mm.
dark, but because you have Marge, who is this very warm presence, and then also, like, yeah, it's not a super long run time. Um, yeah, this was a very popular film when it came out, and has continued to be, in a way that other dark comedies never quite hit that same level.
My number one film of 1996 is Primal Fear, which stars Richard Gere and has an introductory performance from Edward Norton. I don't necessarily I'm seeing things that's indicating like this may be his first film. If not,
Okay.
definitely probably the film that put him on the map for sure,
Yeah.
as he is the reason that this film has a sole sorry, not Emmy, Oscar nomination. He he got a nom. Um, can't lie, this film is really like this film is great because of Edward Norton and his character. Um, and I think that makes sense when you see it. But ultimately, not to uh, bring up people's expectations too much, but I was kind of floored by this film. I can't lie. I was kind of floored. I I think like I kind of went into it kind of like unsuspectingly and kind of just like along for the ride kind of thing, just following. And as the film progresses, kind of finding myself like locking in even more, and then the film ends, and I'm just like amazed. I really enjoyed this film. If you want a in introductory synopsis, a man is framed for murder, and a lawyer here is like, "I'll represent you in court." and it's basically you see Richard Gere as the lawyer trying to, prove innocence, basically, and what that journey is. So, um, yeah, I think this movie will be a lot of fun to like show people, to
Okay.
like gather a group of friends who know absolutely nothing about this film, and to watch their reactions. This is that kind of film. I really enjoyed this, and I am excited to show this film to other people.
John, have you heard of this one? I assume you haven't seen
I haven't seen it. Maybe I've heard it. I've heard the name Primal and Fear.
it. I feel like I
Maybe,
get this one
yeah.
mixed up with The Sum of All Fears. Is that the Jack Ryan one that also stars Edward Norton? I think that is. Um but no, yeah, I have heard of this one. I have not seen it. It was on my list of things to get around to, but unfortunately I didn't have time to. Yeah, I did not realize that this was Edward Norton's sort of breakout performance. So yeah, if he got an Oscar nomination for this, then that's also very impressive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, I kind of been mean to like just quickly look into it to like make sure I'm right about that. But like from the little bit I've seen, it's like, yeah, that tends to, seems to be, yeah. So it's on Letterbox. It is his third build thing, and the two things before then, I have no clue what they are.
Okay.
Basically,
Yeah.
so yeah, it basically is like his first thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Yeah, one of them, the first film that's connected with him on Letterboxd, a video designed to help people learn American English at a beginner level. So that's not very mass market. And then the
Yeah.
second thing is 27 minutes. So yeah, his debut feature film.
Moving on to my number one, I have Twister. Man, this is one that I watched a whole bunch when I was young. Like, this is the one that got me really to fall in love with tornadoes and the weather. I don't know, I just find that super cool. And so, since for the longest time, like, this is really the only decent tornado movie of like a solid budget. This is the one you keep going back to when you when you want to watch a movie with a tornado as the main thing. And yeah, like, it's cool. I like seeing the tornadoes go around destroying things. There's a plot about like science and saving the world from ignorance or something. Um, that's a very detailed description that's totally not correct, but I thought it'd be fun to say it that way. But yeah, you got a fun cast. You got Philip Seymour Hoffman in a role that I don't really think of him as, but he's there. There's a lot of actors in here that like, yo, yeah, I know them from this film, and yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, it means a lot to me. I love it. I love rewatching it. It's so much fun. Tornadoes, yeah.
Yeah, this is another one that would have made my top 5 if it wasn't on your list. Yeah, no, it is very well made, and also just like the construction of it from a pure like structure level, like the fact that it takes place in like 1 or 2 days, and you're basically following the characters continuously through that. It just it's so well made in that way that watching Twisters, I was like, oh, this is like good, but it's not hitting that same level for me. And yeah, tornadoes are not something that I have a huge familiarity with, so it's interesting to see the science of that a little bit. Obviously, this is a Hollywood film, so they're fudging things a little bit, but you're seeing the science of that in the disaster that it causes. Yeah, I really like this one.
I was amazed how enjoyable this film was. I kind of thought it would be one of those films I'd kind of be like, eh, but I ended up really enjoying. I don't know. Maybe I guess controversially, I enjoy Twisters more,
Okay.
but like maybe that's it's because I'm more familiar with a modern sensibility, or
That one is
maybe I
also
think,
more like foregrounds the romance, which I think is
yeah,
an element that you probably appreciate more than I do.
yeah, I think that's part of it. I think also, if I'm also being honest, like Daisy Edgar Jones looks
That's
beautiful
fair.
in that
That's fair.
film. So that definitely, yeah. So, but I still enjoy both films quite a bit. John, just out of curiosity, did you ever see Twisters?
No, I did not.
No.
I mean,
Is it of
I
interest?
the year it came out, I was very much boycotting it. Um, but I will watch it eventually
Yeah.
when I feel like I'm like, all right, I want to watch some movies with some wild twisters.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
I
but we'll
think
see.
like, I don't know. Like when I think of a disaster film, my first thought isn't, "Oh, I think I'm going to enjoy this." So the fact that I enjoyed Twister, I'm like, "Wow." I enjoyed it so much I bought it. So, I definitely
Nice.
want to rewatch it at some point. So,
Yeah.
I had the VHS. Yeah,
nice.
I again, I watched it religiously when I was young. Um, yeah. Well, why don't we end things off with our least favorite films?
Yeah. So my least favorite film is Hellraiser Bloodline. This is somewhat infamously the a film that even the director didn't feel good about. The studio kind of took away control and he didn't like it. So it is credited to Alan Smithy, which is the official Directors Guild of America designation for when a director removes their name from a film. It is credited to Alan
Interesting.
Smithy. Um, yeah, I don't think it is like a complete disaster. It's just not as engaging as it should be. It isn't getting it. Hellraiser is a franchise that I feel very oddly about, and the things that I find interesting about it, I don't know if they're the things that other people find interesting about it, but one of the things that is kind of least interesting to me is what is the origin of the box? And this whole movie is all about the origins of the box. The stuff that I really was more invested in because I had forgotten when I put this in the Blu-ray player, and then starts with opens in space on a space station. I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. Hellraiser on a space station. Oh, that's gonna be fun. Um, and it has some of that, but then it flashes backwards in time, and we go back, and Adam Scott is there, and he's in some very weird haircuts. Um, and there's Hellraiser stuff going on, and it's all the box, and we need the box, and how did the box come to be, and who has the box, and who wants the box, and it's like I don't care about the box. Um, it has some creative ideas, it has some gnarly kills. It's just yeah, for me the high water mark is Hellraiser 2, and that just has like the way it explores the mythology and the emotions of it and the music of it and the design of it is just so incredible that going into Hellraiser 4 I'm like I wish it had just like 10% of that. um and it doesn't. I would say that the better Hellraiser 4 or Hellraiser in Space movie is Event Horizon, which may or may not be mentioned on the next episode. We'll have to you'll have to tune in to hear if I bring that one up.
Ooh,
Also, I will note just something funny that Adam Scott actually auditioned for Hellraiser 6, hoping that they would have forgotten that he was in this one. So, yeah, not relevant to anything here. I kind of wish that they had given him a role because I think it's funny when people come back in a franchise that they've already been in as a completely different character with no acknowledgement. But yeah, not really one worth seeking out, but hey, it's there.
yep. I haven't seen any of the Hellraiser films.
Hi, Razor.
Hi, Razor. Yeah. Yes, and you are foregoing your worst film this time around.
Yeah, I figured people would be mad at me if I said Muppets was the worst film of the year. But I only watched, the handful,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I decided to be nice to it and call it an honorable mention instead. So,
Yes. Well, moving on to my quote unquote least favorites of the year, I have Mars Attacks, which is what, Tim Burton film, Jay?
Yes, it is Tim Burton, based
Yeah.
on the Topps trading cards from the 60s, sort of an infamous trading card line that had like a narrative to it and was like people found upsetting and were discontinued.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yes, I
I
know that
mean,
because we have or I have put it on the list of potential things to cover on Binging Barbie, though I think John has is not as enthusiastic about that for reasons that I'm sure you're about to get into.
I don't think we ever discussed this for Big Barbie. But yeah, no, the aesthetic of this is fun, you know. But like, yeah, this is one that I watched when I was very young. I went to a hotel one summer and we watched on TV. There was a double feature of this and Signs from Shyamalan, two films about aliens coming to Earth, and my young brain was traumatized by these two films. That it gave me what I will call extraterrestrial xenophobia, where any alien invaders and stuff, I'm like, oh no, I don't like that. And then they gave me nightmares each night where it's like, oh no, these are going to like turn me into a skeleton. Oh no, they're gonna like take off the head of my dog and put a girl's head on it. Oh no, this weird tall woman's gonna come in and bite my finger. Oh no, Jack Nicholson. No. um,
Oh no, Jack Nicholson again, inexplicably.
yes. Like there's some fun stuff about this. Like out of context, it's wacky and ridiculous. I like the obvious camp on it. I love the acknowledgement of like the source material of like the time period and the era and like the some of the genres tropes. I like that. The story is not great. Um, a lot of scenes are weird and put together, and it's like overall, it's like yeah, but no matter what, this Signs, War of the Worlds, whatever quality levels those things are,
Which were the worlds?
Spielberg's.
Independence
Um,
Day, previously mentioned on this
yes,
episode.
yes, Independence Day was one of those where I was still young enough to be like to have fear from those things. I since then I've been able to grown out of it. I've been able to watch War of the Worlds and like it somewhat. I've been able to appreciate Science. I think I even appreciated this, but it's still not an amazing film. But yeah, no. Even if I do appreciate it, I cannot deny that it is a film that did a lot of damage to me in my youth. So, yes.
Yeah, this is one that I saw for the first time for this episode, and it didn't really work for me. I think, as you're saying, it doesn't like there isn't always necessarily a sense of narrative progression from scene to scene, which is somewhat intentional because the joke of this is the humans keep being like, well, maybe we misunderstood the aliens, and then the aliens keep
Yes.
showing up and killing everyone, and the humans are, well, maybe we misunderstood them, and maybe this time we'll be okay. um
Yeah.
but that does lead to like, yeah, there's just a lot of scenes that are just repeating the same beats. um but yeah, it is, Tim Burton is a very dedicated um craftsman and creates like some very interesting visuals, some very disturbing visuals, as you're saying.
Mhm.
The people turning into skeletons is just like, I can understand why, especially as a kid, that is so much more upsetting than other things would have been. um
Yes.
and that they're like bright red or bright green depending on which color beam they're shot with. Like it's all fun stuff like that. I
Mhm.
think for me, my absolute favorite scene though was the Martian woman disguise thing. This The way
Yeah.
she moves is just, oh, it's just mesmerizing to watch as she's just walking and like gliding along, and it's yeah, every scene that she's only in like a little bit of the movie, but I was just like, fully on board with all of that. That's where the
Mhm.
campiness kind of goes to the next level.
Jay,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is also one of my early introductions to Godzilla because
Okay, yeah,
there's that one scene
yeah,
where they're watching a Godzilla movie, and yeah.
yeah. So really a ground zero for certain things for John.
Mm, indeed, yes. Well, that's what we have for the films of 1996. Interesting bunch. So yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.